Never enter a church after dark. Discover the haunted secrets of the sinister past. The whispers of Maple Grove grew louder after dark, and the old church loomed like a specter at the end of Sarah Street. In the gloom, it promised both comfort and dread. She could feel its cold fingers curling around her heart as she clutched her son Lucas close. Never enter a church after dark, her mother used to say. Little did she know, the warnings weren't just for show. As Sarah settled into her new life as a waitress at the diner, the church's shadow began to haunt her thoughts. She could see it from her window, its steeple jutting sharply against the night sky. And the stories were everywhere, talk of children gone missing, echoing through the town like a ghostly chant. Every creak of its ancient wood made her skin crawl. The congregation was small but familiar, every face masked a secret. One night, as the diner buzzed and laughter filled the air, her phone rang. The sharp sound cut through the clamor like a knife. Mom! There are noises at the church. Strange noises. Lucas's voice shook with terror. An icy shiver ran down her spine, but she brushed it aside, a part of her trying to convince herself it was just his imagination. Yet a heavy burden of dread coincided with the panic gripping her heart. Her instincts screamed at her to leave, as shadows twisted and lurked beyond the flickering streetlights outside. White-knuckled, she sped home, each flicker of a dying bulb casting distorted shapes around her. The air thickened, weighted down by something unseen. Upon reaching the church, its heavy wooden doors creaked wide open, welcoming her into an abyss of silence. Lucas? Her voice trembled, swallowed by the foreboding echoes of the sanctuary. The familiar scent of polished wood and candle wax twisted in an unnatural way, a reminder of lost souls who had once filled these halls with life. Lucas! She called, more urgent now, her voice swallowed by the oppressive stillness. Shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, every soft sound echoed louder than thunder. She stepped deeper into the cold darkness, an unseen presence lurking just out of sight. The tension coiled tighter, each heartbeat a countdown to an inevitable disaster. She could almost hear the whispers, the stories of the town of missing children whose laughter once mingled within these walls, wedging deeper into her mind. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With dread gnawing at her insides, she began racing down the narrow aisles. The church had to hold secrets, dark ones that churned beneath the surface like a stagnant pond. The faces she thought she knew were changing, twisting in her mind into something monstrous. The rumor of a cursed relic hidden deep within the altar pulsed through her veins, igniting her fears. She caught the flicker of a candlelight's glow in the corner of her eye, and the shadows thickened around her. Lucas! Panic clawed up her throat as she finally stumbled upon a door, a secret room hidden away. She pushed it open just as a shadow loomed beside her, revealing a familiar face she never thought to question. Time froze as dread washed over her. Would she trust the very community clinging to its secrets or fight something evil tethered with her son as fate? As the cries of Lucas faded into the air, a chilling whisper reached her ears. Sarah! The darkness called her name, leaving her breathless and terrified. The door swung open with a sickening creak, revealing not just a hidden chamber but a sinister truth lurking within. Sarah staggered back as a flicker of candlelight illuminated the face of Sister Agnes, a figure she had known all her life but never seen like this. Her usual serene expression was twisted by something deeper, something wrong. "You shouldn't be here, Sarah," she said, her voice a soft hiss that chilled the air. "Where's Lucas?" Panic sprayed in every word. The darkness tightened around her, as if the church itself were alive, constricting, hungry. Sister Agnes stepped forward, her eyes glinting in the dim light. "He is with the others." The others? The confusion churned into fear, body shaking as the reality began to unfurl like old parchment. "What do you mean?" A flicker of amusement crossed Sister Agnes's lips, a sight so out of place amidst the horror surrounding them. "You've heard the stories about the children, the ones that never came back. They didn't just disappear, they stay. Her voice trailed off, blending with the echoes, leaving Sarah with a suffocating silence. No! Lucas! She pushed past Sister Agnes into the secret room, her heart pounding like a drum in her ears. The flickering candles cast shadows that danced on the stone walls, revealing shapes. Toys, once bright and cheerful, lay abandoned on the floor, covered in dust. A tiny shoe with a vibrant lace, a spinning top with flecks of color, remnants of lives snuffed out too soon. Why? The word fell broken from her lips as she stumbled upon a faded mural depicting children playing, their smiles radiant. But the longer she stared, the more her gut twisted. They didn't smile, they were wailing, eyes wide in terror, their mouths open in silent screams. They reside with us now. A connection there's no severing. Sister Agnes's voice was a razor in the darkness. We protect them. We give them purpose. Get away from me. Sarah fought against the encroaching void, thoughts of escaping in every direction swirling wildly. But fear roots deep, and every move made her feel smaller, swallowed by something vast and dreadful. Behind her, the shadows flickered, congregating, whispering in a language that felt ancient and dreadfully familiar. With a shaking breath, her eyes caught what truly inhabited this room. The children were here, although pale and twisted, their forms barely recognizable. Lucas! He stood at the far wall, eyes vacant, staring into nothing but darkness. Lucas! She cried, reaching out, but the shadows closed in, pulling back her boy as if they had ownership of him. Join them, Sarah. Sister Agnes's voice soothed like velvet yet stained with malice. It's what you always wanted, an unbreakable bond. No! The word stung like a burned-out ember as Sarah lunged forward, determined to snatch him back, only to come face to face with the grotesque truth. The countless whispers clamored louder, a symphony of lost voices. Suddenly, Lucas turned, his gaze no longer lifeless. Mom, he said softly, but his mouth twisted unnaturally into a grin that didn't belong to him. Each heartbeat pounded heavier in Sarah's chest. A rush of blood coursed through her veins, mingling with rising desperation. They were calling, all of them, wanting her to feel their torment, to join their ranks. The shadows loomed closer, inching toward her like a slow, creeping fog. Time to decide. Sister Agnes whispered, and the air crackled with malevolence. Sarah's heart raced, dread clawing deeper. Would she succumb to the lullaby of this wicked sanctuary, or fight to pull Lucas back from the very heart of darkness? As the shadows reached out like grasping hands, she clenched her fists, ready to face whatever came next. But in the depths of the church, another voice rose, soft yet piercing. Help me. With an icy dread, she turned toward the darkness from where the voice had come. Who else was trapped here? What more awaits in the church after dark? Help me, the voice echoed again, each syllable sharp and desperate, slicing through the thick, tension-laden air. Fear prickled at the back of Sarah's neck, her instincts screaming at her to run, but she couldn't abandon the sound. Who is it? She whispered, trembling. The flickering candlelight seemed to dim as the shadows writhed and twisted around her. Sister Agnes's gaze held a malicious glee, as if savoring the fear seeping from Sarah. Curiosity will lead to your end, she warned, yet Lucas remained entranced, his smile now a mask of horror frozen on his face, the eyes once warm and lively now pools of cold emptiness. Mom, you have to come. He called, his voice wavering. Get away from him. Sarah screamed, unwilling to lose the only connection she had to him. She tore herself from the suffocating presence of Sister Agnes, determination surging as she pressed deeper into the room. The shadows closed in around her. They ambled forward, gray and twisting limbs outstretched like skeletons clawing at life. Each step forward sent a chill of dread coursing through her veins, wrapping like a snake around her heart. Help me, please. The voice again, more insistent this time, wrapping Sarah in its desperate plea. Where could it be coming from? Could another child be lost in this nightmare? As if an answer, a figure began to materialize from the darkness, swirls of shadow clinging to her. A girl, fragile and pale, floated just out of reach. Her features were indistinct, almost ghostly, blending seamlessly with the darkness. Help me. The girl reached out, her fingers brushing the air, but not quite able to grasp Sarah. The plea was a song of sorrow, laced with the ache of abandonment. Is this Lucas's friend? Sarah faltered, torn between the urge to shrink away and the desperate need to save whoever this was. Not just a friend, Sister Agnes hissed. She has been waiting for you to join her. Join her? What do you mean? Panic bubbled up within Sarah. She wanted answers now, each word from Sister Agnes wrapping tighter around her throat. Children that remain here, they become part of this place. They find strength in darkness, a family reunited through pain. You too can join, Sarah. Embrace the shadow. Bring Lucas with you. No. Sarah's voice broke through the tension, raw and desperate. I won't lose him. He is my son. But the shadow stirred again, whispering her name, calling her to relinquish her son, to give herself willingly. Help me. The girl's voice was growing weaker. For a heart-stopping second, Sarah thought she felt a tug from the shadows, pulling at her. The very ground below felt as though it were turning into quicksand, hungry and alive. Stand with us, Sarah, Sister Agnes crooned, a sinister caress in her words, or fall to the darkness. With sudden resolve igniting within her, Sarah stepped between the girl and the encroaching shadows. Get away from her! She shouted, as if sheer force could dispel the malevolence binding the air. The shadows recoiled for a split second, confusion spreading through the dark landscape, as if uncertain how to respond to her defiance. Lucas! She cried, extending her hand towards him, hoping the bond of a mother could break through the horrifying enchantment. But the shadows thickened, swirling like a tempest around them both. Then a shrill laughter echoed, cutting through the chaos. It wasn't Sister Agnes. It was a multitude, a cacophony of lost voices joining in a dreadful symphony. Help us! Help us all! Now Sarah saw countless figures standing behind the girl. Children lost, pleading, grasping at hope. Their faces were marred with pain and confusion, a haunting reminder of what lay ahead if she faltered. Sarah! Lucas's voice broke and trembled, wavering between dread and pure innocence. In that moment, a decision crystallized. Could she really save them? Or would she risk being consumed by this darkness? As she fought through the suffocating dread coiling around her, a dark thought flickered within her. What if by saving Lucas, she condemned them all? And then, just beyond the dim glow of the candles and swirling shadows, Sarah felt a push. Something or someone was trying to draw her backward, deeper into this abyss. Mom! Lucas screamed, his voice a piercing arrow of panic. What was really happening in this forsaken church? What did Sister Agnes want? And what other horrors awaited her if she dared to venture further into the dark? As the shadows encroached, she realized, the choice wasn't just about Lucas. The horrors were far greater than she had fathomed. Help me! The plea lingered, echoing in her mind like a haunting lullaby. Could she really save her son without succumbing to the malevolence around them? As the darkness reached for her once more, she braced herself for the battle to come, knowing that whatever lay ahead would push her to the brink of her very soul. The shadows pressed ever closer, a suffocating wave of blackness that threatened to swallow Sarah whole. Stop! She shouted, summoning a desperate strength she didn't know she had. But her voice quivered, barely cutting through the chanting chorus of lost children echoing in the room. Help us! Help us all! For a split second, the shadows hesitated, but Sister Agnes laughed, a high, cruel sound that echoed like broken glass. You think you can save them? They are mine now. You cannot fight what is already part of this world. As the air crackled with tension, Sarah felt Lucas's hand slip from hers, the warmth vanishing like smoke. She lunged, grasping in the dark, heart pounding against her ribs. Lucas! Her scream was met with silence, a silence so profound it swallowed the laughter and the desperate cries. She was alone, caught in a theater of despair with only the flickering candles to witness her fear. The girl's essence flickered like a dying flame, her form becoming more translucent with each heartbeat. Join us, the girl whispered, her voice soft but insistently chilling. Don't you see? You can save him, but you must let go. The ground trembled as shadowy tendrils reached upward, their caress cold and invasive. Doubt surged within her, thick and winding. Could she truly save Lucas without sacrificing herself? The fear of what lay ahead clawed at her insides. Sarah! A voice more urgent than the rest cut through the fraught atmosphere. It was Lucas, desperately searching for her amidst the chaos. Come back. I need you. The shadows seemed more restless now, writhing as if they could taste the suffering in the air. With every moment, Sister Agnes's smile broadened. What would you give to rescue him? Your soul? Your very essence? With each of her taunts, a choice loomed in Sarah's heart. Could she be bound to this place like the others? Were they all waiting in the dark, mere echoes of what had once been? Sweat trickled down her spine. The girl reached out once more, her hand so close yet so impossibly far. Help me! She pleaded with increasing insistence, her features wavering like a mirage. Why? Sarah shouted, her voice raw with frustration. What do you want from me? The shadows churned, their whispers turning to a roar. Embrace the darkness. Embrace your fate. Somewhere in the maelstrom, Lucas's voice broke through again, a fragile thread woven through the chaos. Mom, help me. Please, don't let them take me. And in that moment, clarity struck her like lightning. She wouldn't let him go. She would face the dark. With every ounce of courage she could muster, Sarah charged toward the shadows, heart racing. The depths of her fear flooded her mind, swirling into a tempest as she pressed through the wave of darkness. All of you! She shouted, her voice rising in defiance. You don't own him! You won't have us! But as she barreled forward, the shadows recoiled and twisted, dark claws raked against her skin. Pain shot through her as she felt memories surfacing within the darkness, fleeting images of joy, laughter, and love. But beneath that, a festering dread, loss, betrayal, sorrow. Join us, the girl wailed, and the shadows momentarily parted, revealing Lucas, pale and trembling, eyes wide with fear. Mom! He cried, reaching for her as if caught in a web of anguish. Just as Sarah's fingertips grazed his, the veil of shadows surged back, threatening to pull him under. No! Sarah screamed, lunging forward, desperation fueling her. Just as the darkness began to envelop her whole, she found herself standing at the threshold of choice, a path divided between her son and the girl, with Sister Agnes cackling in the depths as the shadows devoured the flickering candlelight. It was now or never. Would she choose her son, risking what it meant to love him? Was she prepared to face whatever dwelled deep within the shadows that called for her? Help me! The voices echoed around her, mounting like a wave ready to crash. As terror surged, she felt herself being drawn back, like a tide pulling at her heel. In the dark, she realized something chilling. She might have to sacrifice more than she ever anticipated to save them both. What awaited her if she chose the shadows? Would she save Lucas or join a chorus of lost souls? Just beyond that choice, a single word lingered, echoing deeper into the night. Mom! The shadows trembled again, writhing in anticipation of her decision. Bound by shadows, Sarah's heart raced as she felt the pull of Lucas, the warmth of his presence fighting against the cold dread seeping into her bones. Desperation clawed at her throat. Would she truly risk everything for him? Mom! Lucas's voice, a fragile thread in the tempest, shattered her resolve into shards of fear. The shadows, their twisted forms morphing and stretching with malicious intent, pressed closer, urging her to choose. Lucas! Sarah cried again, but the sound was muted, swallowed by the encroaching abyss. In that moment, a flicker of doubt crossed her mind. What if by choosing him, she surrendered to the very darkness she fought against? A soft voice brushed against her ear, like icy breath against skin. Let go, Sarah. Embrace the darkness. Become one of us. The girl's face emerged, tight with urgency, her own eyes glistening like voids. Get away from her! Sarah screamed, a surge of adrenaline pounding in her veins. She wasn't about to be swayed by desperate spirits. But Sister Agnes stepped forward, her grin widening, teeth sharp as knives glinting in the firelight. You think love can conquer this darkness? Love is weakness. The shadows around her writhed, advancing as though waiting for Sarah to finally break. Help us! Another voice echoed, this time from behind the girl. A chorus of despair, the lost children surrounded her. "Join us! Just let my son go!" she shouted, her vision blurring with tears. The shadows seemed to sway, and for a brief heartbeat, the room felt still. Lucas's trembling figure pulsed faintly. "Mom, please, I'm so scared." His words struck her like a dagger. The shadows seemed to shift, tangible, curling across her legs. She could feel them, cold like grave dirt. The air thickened, and panic rose like bile in her throat. "Help us!" the children wailed, their echoes mingling in a haunting symphony that filled her mind. With a shudder, Sarah forced her focus to Lucas. He was there, battling against the shadows that licked at his heels. She refused to abandon him. Not now, not ever. In that moment of clarity, something deep within her stilled. "You want my essence?" she shouted, an idea sparking to life, igniting her with a flame of defiance. "Then take it. But you won't have him." The shadows twitched at her revelation, hesitating in their pursuit. Sarah felt the darkness grasping at her, hungry and demanding. She had a decision to make, one that would cost her dearly. "Mom!" Lucas cried out again, his eyes locking onto hers, pleading and fierce as terror illuminated every feature. She couldn't lose him, couldn't let him become a part of this hellish eternity. With one last look at her son, determination ignited in her chest. She took a breath, the tang of fear heavy on her tongue, and plunged into the shadows, a scream of defiance that sliced through the hollow air. Pain erupted through her, burning like fire as the shadows seethed around her. "Embrace us!" they hissed, every wretched whisper coiling around her limbs. "Never!" she roared, the word rippling like a shockwave through the darkness. Suddenly, the world flipped, shadows tumbling, Lucas's form flickering like a candle in the wind. They pulled tighter, a vice around her mind, but she held firm, heart pounding against the suffocating threat. "Join us!" rang out from the depths, the choir of lost children, a haunting melody in the murky void, but Sarah anchored herself to her love for Lucas, wrenching against the tears, against despair, as she fought to reclaim him. Then, she felt it, a sharp tugging at the core of her being, as if the shadows were trying to pull her apart at the seams. "Sarah!" Lucas's voice crackled like thunder in her ears, a lifeline in the chaos. "Don't give in!" And with a roar that rose from her deepest fears, she grabbed onto his hand, their fingers intertwining just as the shadows attempted to tear them apart. But then, a laugh echoed around them, deep and cutting. "You think you can win with love?" The sound of Sister Agnes shattered the air, a cruel taunt. "Let us see what really lies in your heart." At that moment, reality cracked under pressure, a chasm opening in their shared world as the air buzzed with energy, spinning wildly. As she clung to her son, a sense of vertigo threatened to consume her once more. What lay on the other side of the abyss? What dark truths would Sarah have to confront about herself to save Lucas? And as shadows writhed, the darkness twisted, a heartbeat away from swallowing them whole, one thought pulsed through her: would love be enough? All she had to do was leap into the void. The sensation of falling gripped Sarah as she and Lucas plummeted deeper into the dark. It felt like time stood still, and all she could hear was the relentless thumping of her heart against her chest. Thoughts swirled in dizzying confusion, a cacophony of sounds, whispers, cries, and mocking laughter, each merging into a nightmare that threatened to engulf her. Suddenly, they landed on the cold, hard ground with a jarring thud. Pain lanced through her body, but Sarah's instincts kicked in. She scrambled to her feet, pulling Lucas up as dread filled the air like a suffocating blanket. The shadows reshaped themselves, carving out ghastly forms that danced menacingly at the edges of her vision. "Where are we?" Lucas asked, fear flickering in his eyes. "I don't know," she replied, catching her breath but feeling the weight of despair climbing up her throat. Around them loomed the twisted walls of a dilapidated church, its stained glass windows shattered, the altar draped in rotten dust. A flickering candle sat in the corner, casting ghostly light across forgotten pews. The walls seemed alive, their surfaces pulsing with dark energy that whispered secrets only the shadows could understand. The overwhelming sense of dread almost made her collapse. "Mom, we have to go." Lucas tugged at her sleeve. But just as she turned, the shadows shifted again, converging toward them, a horde of lost souls drawn to the warmth of their light. You've come to join us, an echoing voice rang out, unmistakably Sister Agnes. She emerged from the shadows, her eyes glinting with a malevolence that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. Here, we embrace the darkness, and here love dies. Leave us alone. Sarah shouted, stepping protectively in front of Lucas. She felt the strength of her love pour into her, a flicker of defiance against the overwhelming despair. Your love brought you here, didn't it? It led you straight to your doom, Agnes sneered, circling them like a hungry predator. Her movements were fluid, unnatural. You think you can save him? How can you save anyone when you can't even save yourself? The darkness around them surged, tendrils reaching for Sarah and Lucas, the air thick with the scent of decay. Desperation clawed at Sarah, but she gripped Lucas's hand tighter, grounding herself against the chaos. Look deep within, Sarah. Your heart holds the darkness you fear. You cannot escape it, Agnes continued, her tone softening, coaxing. Your truth will reveal itself, whether you like it or not. With each taunt, Sarah felt the creeping shadow around her merge into her very thoughts, the doubt gnawing at her sanity. Was Agnes right? Was there darkness lurking within her soul ready to swallow her whole? Then, in the far corner of the church, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A shadowed figure stood there, half hidden in the gloom. As it stepped forward, Sarah's breath hitched. Their features emerged, and she realized it was the girl from earlier, her vacant eyes wide and pleading. Please, the girl whispered, you have to let go of your fear to save him. Stop! Sarah screamed, trying to drown out the noise in her head. I won't let you take him. But here, in this desolate sanctum, the truth began to unravel not just of the shadows, but of her own heart. The echoes of failures and regrets resurfaced, pressing against her soul. What had she hidden from herself? How much are you willing to sacrifice, Sarah? Agnes hissed, inching closer, her jagged grin stretching wider. What if the only path to salvation is through sacrifice? The air crackled around them as the shadows twisted, a storm of dark promises swirling with anguish. The walls trembled with the weight of secrets long buried. With a final desperate glance at Lucas, Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, stronger than the shadow's despair but terrified of what it might demand. No! She cried, but the world around her trembled, as if waiting for her to make the ultimate choice. All at once, the ground beneath them trembled violently, and reality warped like a nightmare. What would she dare to offer in exchange for the love that survived? The darkness beckoned for once she might learn what truly lay at the heart of it all. The floor shook as if the church itself groaned in anticipation. Sarah clutched Lucas closer, fear pulsing through her veins. She could feel her heartbeat echoing in the void, a frantic drumbeat against the sinister whispers that twisted around them. It was worse than the pain, this was raw panic that clawed at her insides. Sister Agnes grinned, her eyes reflecting the flicker of candlelight as shadows danced around her. Embrace it, she taunted, her voice slithering through the air. You're in a place of judgment now, Sarah. What shall your offering be? Luke trembled against her side, unaware of the choices his mother faced. He was just a boy in a disaster he couldn't understand. Mom, what is happening? I don't know, sweetie. I don't know. The words came out like a dry whisper, choked by despair. The girl's pleading face emerged in her mind again. Let go of your fear. A surge of memories washed over Sarah, each more painful than the last. Hushed arguments, shattered trust, lost moments. The truth fell heavy, an anchor pulling her deeper into darkness. These shadows lived on in her heart, she could almost see their shapes, darkened figures of regret waiting for her consent. Agnes laughed, the sound slicing through her resolve. Those memories are your chains. You either release them or remain shackled to the past forever. Suddenly, the air thickened, charged with a desperate energy. The shadows writhed closer, whispering promises of freedom. Just let go, they murmured, their voices seductive and familiar. Could she really abandon her fears? Trust that she would find strength in the dark? No! She screamed, pushing back against the encroaching abyss. I won't let you take him. But the moment lingered, suspended in a haunting silence, and her heart raced against the storm brewing inside her. The candle flickered ominously, illuminating jagged edges of the shattered altar. Below, fissures in the floor seemed to pulse with malevolence, leading toward a hidden depth that beckoned her. "Mom!" Lucas cried out, pulling her back just as a dark tendril brushed against her arm. With a sudden burst of resolve, she turned to face Agnes, her courage rising like flames against the chill. "You think I'm afraid of the dark? You don't know me. I will not give in to this." "What a shame," Agnes chuckled, feigning disappointment. "You really think you can escape your own truth? You're only delaying the inevitable." Before Sarah could respond, the shadows surged forward like an avalanche, engulfing them in a chaotic mass of whispers and cool dread. Panic surged through Sarah. Fear clawed at the edges of her mind, threatening to overwhelm her. She felt Lucas grip her hand tighter, his small fingers shaking. Together, they stumbled further back. A sudden realization hit her: the altar. If she could reach it, perhaps it held a key to their escape. Fueled by adrenaline, Sarah pulled Lucas along, forcing her way through the pressing dark while the whispers turned into howling screams. The pews creaked ominously, like lost souls caught in turmoil. "Don't look back," she urged, her own voice trembling. They pushed toward the altar, the scent of rot intensifying, swirling around them like a thick fog. The flickering candlelight cast grotesque shadows against the crumbling walls of the church, enhancing the dread that clung to her skin. Time warped. Every moment stretched, becoming an eternity. They were almost there. But with every step, it felt as though the darkness was reaching out more, stinging her arms and pulling at her legs. When they finally reached the altar, Sarah looked up, desperately scanning the clutter of forgotten relics and broken glass. A sudden flash of panic gripped her heart. They were running out of time. "What do we do?" Lucas whispered, eyes wide with terror. "Trust me," she said, almost like a prayer, feeling warmth surge within. "We have to find the light." A rumble echoed throughout the church, shaking the very foundation beneath them. Then, with a deafening crack, a new set of shadows emerged from the altar, a creature born from darkness. Towering and twisted, eyes glowing with an inner fire. "Welcome to my domain," it bellowed, voice dripping with malice. Now they had nowhere to run. Could they beat the clock and confront the dread they harbored within before it consumed them? The darkness wasn't just beckoning anymore, it was clawing, reaching for something much deeper, and it would stop at nothing to take what was owed. The creature's eyes bore down on them like twin lanterns lit by vengeance. Sarah could feel her breath quickening, her heart racing faster with each passing second. Lucas was whispering her name, but all she could hear was the echo of the thing that loomed over them. "Mom! We have to go," Lucas urged, panic lacing his voice. "Shoo!" she hissed, fighting to keep her composure. "We need to find a way out, not just run." The altar felt charged, alive with an energy that both terrified and mystified her. She scanned the relics piled upon it: broken vases, cracked statues, and something glinting in the dim light. A metallic object lay half buried beneath a shattered cross, glimmering as if calling to her. "Lucas," she murmured, still eyeing the creature, "stay close. Hold my hand tightly." The boy nodded, his grip tightening. Fear etched across his face, but he stood resolute beside her. "What do you think that is?" he asked, pointing subtly at the creature. I don't know," she replied, aware that every word could provoke the thing. "But whatever it is, it's not friendly." The creature shifted, its form undulating like smoke caught in a violent wind. Its laughter was a chilling melody, echoing around the cavernous church. "Hope is a fragile thing, dear Sarah. But it will betray you." Agnes's voice came suddenly from the shadows, a haunting echo. "You see, she has already lost. All that awaits is acceptance. You both can join the countless souls who've wandered here, all too weak to confront their own truths." "No!" Sarah shouted, defiance bubbling up, igniting a flicker of courage. "We want to become part of your twisted collection." With a newfound resolve, she took a step toward the altar, steadying herself against the weight of the shadows. A hot rush of determination swept through her. She needed that object, whatever it was. It felt important. "Mom?" Lucas's voice trembled. "Do we really have to?" "Yes, Lucas. Trust me." She reached for the glinting object, breaking the frozen silence that surrounded them. As her fingers wrapped around it, an electric shock surged through her, momentarily stunning her into stillness. A dagger. Ancient, spine-chilling, the blade glimmered with a malevolent sheen. The air around it buzzed ominously. The creature shrieked, a horrible sound that echoed in the vast expanse of the church. "No! You dare not wield what is sacred. Then we are free!" she cried, raising the dagger high, its weight grounding her. "We are not pawns, we choose what binds us." The church trembled again, this time with rage. The shadows writhed, anticipating a fight. Something shifted deep within Sarah. She had not just found a weapon, it was a reflection of her own will. The truth did not need to shackle her anymore. "Lucas, cover your eyes," she commanded. Without a second thought, she plunged the blade into the altar. An explosion of light erupted from the impact, flooding the space with a blinding brilliance. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in terror as they were torn apart by the radiance. Sister Agnes's laughter morphed into something high-pitched and raw, a sound of pure agony. "Mom! What's happening?" Lucas shouted, hands covering his ears. "I'm not sure." Sarah yelled back, fear mingling with exhilaration. As the light spread, it illuminated the corners of the church, revealing hidden secrets long swallowed by darkness, faces trapped in desperation, eyes wide with unending fear. But something still loomed in the shadows, a final manifestation lurking just beyond the glow. It throbbed with anticipation, waiting for her to fail, to falter. "Keep your eyes closed," she urged, but she could feel the creature reassembling, the air thickening with fury as if the very walls were waiting for a moment of weakness. Would the light be enough to banish what had festered within? Would courage and sacrifice defeat the shadows that seemed more alive than anything she'd faced before? As another shriek erupted, the light flickered uncertainly, leaving Sarah with one thought: what if this was only the beginning? The fight was far from over. The light pulsed like a heartbeat, blinding, vibrant. Sarah shielded her eyes, feeling the warmth envelop her, but the shadows were not so easily dispelled. As the shrieks crescendoed, the air grew hot, acrid with the scent of something rotten and ancient. Cold dread clawed at her throat as a wave of fear washed over her. "Mom! I can't stand this," Lucas pleaded. His small frame shook beside her, the strength of their bond threatening to fray under the weight of terror. "Just a moment longer," she cried, straining against the oppressive darkness still clinging stubbornly to the edges of the light. She squeezed the dagger tighter, feeling its cold steel anchor her resolve. The creature's form twisted and writhed, reshaping itself in the gleam. It grew larger, a dark silhouette clashing against the brilliance. "You think that light will save you? It binds you, just as the shadows do." Its voice was low, laced with mockery that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. As she processed its words, a flicker of doubt surged. What if the light was merely a bandage? She had split the altar, disrupted the equilibrium. Would the light turn against her? "Stay back," she shouted, clutching Lucas tighter, her heart racing. Yet she could feel the shadow creeping closer, chilling her skin, hungry for darkness once more. Something stirred in the corners of the church. Spectral faces, lost souls illuminated by the light, each one contorted in a silent scream. They lingered, their fearful eyes begging for release. A chill of recognition struck her. They weren't just prisoners, they were mirrors of her own fears, shadows of what she might become. The dagger pulsed in her hand, synchronizing with the heartbeat of the light. "This can't be all there is," she whispered to herself, doubt giving way to something more potent: resolve. She was not going to be another lost soul. "Hold on," Sarah yelled, as she plunged the dagger back towards the altar, not for destruction this time, but for creation. It sunk deeper, and an eruption of energy erupted, throwing her backward against the cold stone floor. The light exploded in a riot of colors, taking on grotesque forms as it fought against the encroaching darkness. Lucas tugged at her arm. "What did you do, Mom?" "I don't know yet." Her pulse raced along with the chaos around them. She turned, scanning for the creature, panic creeping in again. The shadows shifted ominously, flickering as the light began to envelop them. The creature's laughter turned frantic, a twisted, desperate sound. You think you can rewrite your fate? It howled, fury seeping into every corner. This world is a prison of your making. Sarah shot a glance at Lucas, whose wide eyes mirrored her terror. She needed to protect him. The thought of losing him intensified the cold knot of fear in her stomach. Listen to me, she breathed, searching for the right words. We are not prisoners here. This is not who we are. She could see the horror as icy fingers clawed at her heart. The light burned brighter and the shadows retaliated, swiping and clawing. As a torrent of menacing whispers surged around them, a single word cut through the frenzy: sacrifice. Before she could understand its meaning, tendrils of darkness lashed out, aiming for her and Lucas. The air shifted, thick as honey, suffocating in its embrace. Mom! Lucas cried out, but the shadows pulled away his voice, wrapping it in damp silence. Hold on to me. She yelled, taking a deep breath, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. In that instant, the bond they shared shone brightly, illuminating a path through the chaos that sought to tear them apart. Would it guide them to safety, or was there something darker awaiting them, something lurking in the shadows, even larger than the creature? The altar shuddered, the ancient stones groaning under the weight of their confrontation. Each heartbeat whispered a promise as the shadows stilled momentarily, waiting, watching. What would they unleash next? Sarah felt a surge of cold resolve. This battle was just beginning. And then she realized courage may not be enough. The light surged, erupting from the altar and wrapping around Sarah and Lucas like a protective cocoon. As the shadows writhed in agony, shrieks echoing off the cracked walls, they revealed the defeated faces of lost children, their whispers turning into soft cries of freedom. Help me felt less like an echo now and more like a call to arms. Sarah's heart raced. Was it even possible to save them all? Mom, we can't hold it. Lucas cried, fear etched across his small, pale face. But there was strength to be found in his terror. Clutching his hand tighter, she took a breath and focused on the light, willing its brilliance to carry them through the darkness. No! Sister Agnes's shadowy form lunged forth, furious and relentless, but it was no match for the light charging through Sarah now. You think you can save them? They will suffer. The ages-old evil twisted, desperate to reclaim its hold, but a spark ignited deep within Sarah. Not anymore! She shouted. Her words resonated like thunder, the clarity of her resolve pushing back against the encroaching darkness. This wasn't just about Lucas, it was about facing the darkness that had suffocated the town for years. As she battled with the shadows, time became meaningless. Memories flashed through her mind, snapshots of laughter and warmth mixed with regret and darkness. We can't let fear control us. She called to the other lost spirits, raising her voice against the dark tide. Your light is still inside you. Let it shine. The children's faces emerged in the glow, their eyes gleaming with hope. Mom! Lucas tugged again, his voice trembling yet strong. We can rescue them. Yes. Sarah replied, feeling strength rush through her. Together. She focused on the jagged dagger still lodged in the altar. Drawing on the power of the light emanating from it, she lunged forward, grasping its hilt with both hands. In the name of love and sacrifice. Sarah cried, plunging the dagger deeper into the altar. The shadows roared, twisting in anguish, trying to break free from their chains. The moment the blade pierced the heart of darkness, the altar exploded in a blinding flash of light, scattering the shadows. The children, now bathed in bright luminescence, began to gather, stretching their hands towards Sarah and Lucas. One by one, the lost souls were drawn to the warmth, their forms shifting back to vibrant kids who once played in the churchyard. Mom, look! Lucas gasped, his expression morphing into joy. They are coming back. As one, the spirits swirled around them, lifted upward in a breathtaking display, climbing higher and higher until they broke through the ceiling of darkness, releasing their laughter into the night sky. But Sister Agnes still loomed, eyes wild and burning. You cannot defeat me. You will pay for this. No. Sarah's voice rang loud and defiant. You are just a reflection of my fears. You will not take us. She stepped forward, shielded by the light that now poured through the shattered church. I choose love. I choose life. The darkness rumbled, but this time it was fear that echoed through the shadows. The altar pulsed, and with one final push, she released the dagger. It spun through the air on a brilliant arc before digging deep into the ground. A wave of pure energy exploded from the point of contact, erupting outward and engulfing Sister Agnes. "No!" she screeched, twisting helplessly before dissolving into wisps of shadow. With the threat neutralized, the church trembled, finally awakening from centuries of slumber. Sarah felt the weight of despair lifting, a dawn breaking upon the horizon as the light surged within. "Mom! We did it!" Lucas shouted, wonder illuminating his features. "Yes! We did!" She wrapped her arms around him, relief and love flooding through her. The church, now free from darkness, shone warmly, the fading sunlight streaming through remnants of the stained glass, painting them in vibrant colors. As they stood together, the children held hands, a ring of light forming around them. One by one, they began to disperse, drifting towards the heavens. "Thank you!" they chimed, each voice harmonizing until it filled the air, a song of gratitude echoing in the soft twilight. Yet, even in this moment of victory, Sarah knew their journey wasn't over. She cast a look back at the altar and its remnants of fear now vanquished. "Are you ready?" she asked Lucas, and he nodded defiantly. "Yes, let us go home." Hand in hand, they stepped out of the church, leaving behind the shadows of the past. Outside, the gentle breeze carried hints of promise, washing over them like the embrace of a brand new day. With each footstep, they faced a future filled with possibility, fear no longer paralyzing, but transforming into a quiet strength guiding them forward. As they walked, sunlight embraced them, illuminating their path, two figures stepping confidently into the warmth, and just beyond the horizon, somewhere in the entwined blanket of light, lay the whispers of hope and love, forging an indelible connection that would bind them forever. What happened that night in that haunted church would echo throughout Maple Grove for generations, a tale of courage and love etched into the very fabric of the town. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, the town breathed free once more. Before you go, listen up. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. We want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this epic ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep this story alive.